I'm Wayne Herschel, pictographic symbologist and author of the Hidden Records Chronicles. What you're about to see is the secret that changes everything. I might be the first person to have discovered this secret of the pyramids and the origins of humankind. It has a very alien element, and this is where everything changed. I'm basically under attack, almost invisible on the internet. My website was obliterated recently. The time has come now where I need to ask you, the viewer, to be a part of this project. To help me with my Patreon account, the links will be at the end of this video. The ancients' bull worship and sun veneration obsession has a completely different meaning to what archaeologists are telling me. A sun and the bull of Taurus, it's a sun-like star that they venerated as the ancestor star in Taurus. That is where my work is different to everybody else's.
Wayne Herschel has dedicated his life to reviving the lost teachings of the Christ, ever since his near-death experience, and what he learned through it. A sense of responsibility to bring sacred knowledge forward persists, since it has the potential to unite humanity, and end all wars. A star with a beam of light once represented the origin record of the so-called Egyptian gods. It's the place to begin with, providing the biggest evidence. It also seems to be the same secret, adapted into what became the allegorical works of wisdom, of the historical Templars and Freemasons. Most controversially of all, it was encoded into the famous Key of Solomon cipher, that one of the most famous mystery fiction writers of all time, almost wrote a book about. But something stopped him. The ancient rituals predating the Christ were all about measuring the special position of an unconquered sun star, rising above the horizon on December 25th.
Have you ever wondered why a conical Yule tree, that the Norse decorated with a star on top of it, was adapted to celebrate the origins of the Christ, and a star associated with his birth? The well-known Urbi et Orbi might once have been linked to this ritual, watching Rome's monuments and 7 hills mirroring the heavens, while holding the Holy Grail, in this remembrance of celestial communion of all humanity's angelic human bloodline origins. It appears to be a lost Christian teaching that evolved from these hidden records. Records that show the identity of the 3 kings of Orion's belt that follow to find his special star. He stands within a ring device with a cosmic serpent dragon. It is time all humanity get to see how it celebrates human origins. The old beliefs of Mithraism and of the Romans with their Sol Invictus ritual are precisely what Wayne believes venerate the very same sun-like stars in Taurus, in his star map theory.
Wayne reenacts the secret hand symbols, and how to follow the Orion cosmic signpost, identifiable with its now proven Swastika nebula, to find one of 3 special sun stars. 33 degrees of arc measurement in astronomy lead us to our human origin star. While Wayne was studying anomalies at the site he'd identified as Atlantis, on the eve of the Mayan calendar 2012 prophecy, this unique Swastika Orion star map suddenly appeared right here at ground zero, indented into the ground. It was nothing less than a gentle reminder by the ancients that not only was his star map theory real, but they corrected the real future first contact date. The 2-hour documentary that follows tells all. This documentary will focus on the secret of the star area seen here. Wayne will prove the ancients celebrated the sacred bull of Taurus, and a prominent sun star, behind the bull's head. It was never our sun, that is to say, Earth's sun, that they obsessed in. Instead, it was the sun-like star system of their ancestors. It's the largest one shown here that was part of the ancient human origin trinity teaching. A solar trinity, so to speak. Taurus has a V formation as seen here. Simply place a line between the two brightest stars, and you get the inverted and correctly tilted Aleph symbol. This might be how the Apis bull of Taurus came to being. According to scholars, this tilted bull symbol became the tilted Aleph, then later became the Alpha symbol.
The Alpha symbol, coincidentally, has the same human code blueprint geometry Wayne found in 3 different ancient records, the very same shape that was used for the severely demonized deity called the Baphomet. Her secret will be revealed in the documentary.
The Alpha symbol has a celestial counterpart. The sacred feminine area of the heavens was seen as the Pleiades, with the Omega symbol as a heavenly gateway to it. This documentary will go into how that too evolved and how the Alpha and Omega message in prophecy decodes the unthinkable. These will apparently be the crucial words a cosmic messenger uses to identify himself in an actual event that we now have a date for. The Alpha Omega message basically reveals he is from the Taurus Stargate. It will identify which 7 stars he then refers to with his right hand. We will explore the Yoni and Lingam connection in revealing the original Holy Grail ritual as it celebrates the as above, so below teaching. Which is why monuments were built on the ground to match this part of the sky. The sacred feminine, conveyed by a triangle pointing to Orion, and the sacred masculine, as the triangle pointing to the sacred feminine. The two originally, in ancient teachings from Atlantis, merged to create the teaching of the 6-pointed star.
The narrative then reveals, in ancient Europe, how the Orion long cross of the sky was another teaching mechanism of our human origins. For its part, what was special about Orion, for the Indus civilization, can only be seen in astronomy. A nebula pattern in the night sky reveals the swastika's origin. The oldest teaching tradition of the portal to the sacred feminine area comes in the form of a cosmic lion dragon. It carries Orion's belt on its back as its mouth opens as a conduit. A secret Bible star map shows the same star map teaching, with the cross as Orion, identifying Jacob's ladder and a portal. The oldest teaching mechanism of Orion, as a direction to follow, began in the Stone Age, the Karnaga squatting man. The symbol with its belt and star band that has a portal opening that usually includes variations of sun symbols. For Wayne, it is very similar to the H symbol he identified for the same lost teaching at a 12,000-year-old site in Turkey. But Orion is also found in the lost origin story of the 25th of December, Christmas teaching of the 3 kings. Few of us realize it is representative of a whole new human origin story that should be celebrated by all humanity. After all, we all share the same heavenly origin secret. Also to come into its own is the Solomon Key. Author Dan Brown is rumored to have dropped this historical mystery as the prospective subject for a book, one that reveals a very alien story and a Stargate dial-up address. Then just when you think things cannot get any more controversial, we explore the 4-kilometer-wide alien message at Wayne Herschel's recently proven ancient site of Atlantis.
Who are we? Where do we come from? Probably the greatest questions one can ask in our lives. Our sun resides near Sirius in the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy. On the other side of the Orion constellation, which acts like a cosmic signpost, follow the alignment of the 3 stars in a row. This is where we find the Pleiades and some notable sun-like stars in Taurus that this documentary we will explore. The G-class sun-like stars are known in astronomy by the catalog names shown.
What Wayne Herschel coins the Sol-2 solar system seems next in line in importance. Sol-3 is lesser known. 4. Completely separated ancient civilizations knew of it. All of these real sun-like stars, according to ancient records, seem to be associated as the place of our once amazing ancestor gods.
This collection of 7 major discoveries and at least 35 main discoveries is a secret that came at a price. It proves all humanity are the descendants of an alien arrival at Atlantis. Our ancestors invaded the earth. Neanderthal didn't stand a chance. This alien human origin secret is something all our leaders of the past have taken advantage of. If a soul doesn't know who it is and where it came from and where it's going, it is easily manipulated. It's easy to manipulate a soul when a human does not know how sacred they are and how equal they are to everyone else on the planet. What I've discovered can end all wars, bring peace and a golden era. While publishers and filmmakers are reviewing my work, I've decided to make a tell-all documentary that you see here. This way, there's no more guessing about what it all means. We have a very ancient alien human history, and while I was working at Atlantis, the unthinkable happened. An alien message appeared that was 3 miles wide, showing the star map that I've made quite well known now, and also showing a date of first contact. The ancients are returning.
It's time to look at the Dendara zodiac disk again. It has my ancient alien star map. The stars that I've identified in my star map theory are following the stars of Sirius, through Orion's belt, through the bullseye, to find the exoplanet and a sun star near the Pleiades. That's the Pleiades right over there. So knowing those stars, the Dendara disk shows Sirius with this little Horus and looks like a fish beneath it. That is the symbol for Sirius, scholars have agreed. Orion, there you can see his clothing makes that hourglass shape for the stars of Orion. That has been decoded by scholars. And the bull, very straightforward, a bull looking back at something very important. And we all know that behind the bull's back is the area of the Pleiades and these 3 sun-like stars. So what is the bull looking at on the Dendara disk? It needs more space. They seem to have taken an enlargement and they've put it right in the middle of the Dendara disk because it's so important. I always enlarge these areas when I'm showing the bull because they're just too small for the detail to be seen. It's a Genesis pictographic story that follows to explain the seeding of Earth with the people of the Tauri and arrival. It shows the first male, first female, right next to the star of the gods. There it is right there. So we're going to see this on the Dendara zodiac disk. But what they fill in next to it is what got scholars being anti that the leg itself was representative of the Pleiades. They put in another constellation, and we'll see what they put there. Right at this point here is the center of the sky above the north Polaris star, the pole star, where the axis of the Earth aligns with. So that got it all very confusing to put anything like the Pleiades next to that point. But it's because of the importance. There's the Dendara zodiac disk. Here's what we're looking at. Here's what they put as a constellation Bootes. The plow symbol is there as well, and next to the Pleiades symbol. Right there, you can see the detail. There's a cleaver, and there's the plow. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, it's called the zodiac disk for a very simple reason. There are all the zodiac signs in order, going anti-clockwise from Taurus, Aries, Pisces. We'll go through that just now. Then we have the deacons, which are stars that rise on the horizon every 10 days, looking in the east, in Egypt. Not important right now. This is the part that's caused the problem, because we have a North Pole, we have a Northern Pole star area of Boötes, but what is the Pleiades in this area? What's it doing in this area if it is the Pleiades? And of course the extra part is what I think are the stars that the star shaft of the Great Pyramid align with, which are the same pyramids, 50 of them, that make the stars of these areas. That is my theory. Okay, there it is. There's the star map that I've made very well known. Follow the Pleiades, leg of the bull, to find the star of the gods. First male, first female. It's like an Adam and Eve story, Genesis of Egypt. Taweret, they called her. She's there. There's Taurus the bull looking back at his leg. There is Orion. There is Sirius. Okay, so we have this following. Oh, if that is Sirius, it might even be a binary star confirmed here, because they have two stars there. Follow through Orion's belt through to Taurus. He looks back on what's on the back of his area of the bull's neck, right? So there it is, right? He's looking at that area. And this is the area that they've enlarged and got everything confusing, putting it above the North Pole star area. But to fit on the zodiac disk was the most important Genesis theme tied in with this. This is why it's been added here, because it's part of an explanation of a Genesis theme. Just to recap, there's Taurus, Pleiades behind the bull's neck. Okay, he's looking back behind his back, all right? So he's looking at that leg constellation. It's like he's turning his head. And of course Orion is beneath it, Sirius. So those are all on the Dendara zodiac disk. Now looking at the stars of the North Pole area, the northern constellations, Boötes is known as the hippo, or the herdsman, or the plowman. But these multiple, let's call them legends, have got everything confused. The plow, or the cleaver, is another name for Ursa Major, or the Big Dipper. But it's the plow and the cleaver that are very important. You'll see how it looks like a plow, and the cleaver is the part out of the screen here. There is where the celestial pole aligns with. You can see that looks like a plow. We'll just confirm it for sure. And there is a cleaver as well. This Genesis deity called Taweret is either goddess of childbirth or bringing forth all children to the earth in colonization. We're going to review that very importantly. But she's trying to tell a story holding awkwardly two things over what I believe was the celestial pole, being the Big Dipper. Now that's something completely new as well. There is the center of the Dendara zodiac disk. The plow is in the middle. Okay, more detail. You see now that the leg of the bull is placed in the middle of it. So this is telling the story about the leg of the bull, and it coincidentally suits the stars that are over the North Pole axis. But there's more to Taweret. Taweret is also shown here with what I believe is the human DNA code tying to this leg of the bull, teaching about the Genesis story. She is teaching about Genesis. And Orion is shown here, following his stars of his belt to this leg of the bull, bull crown, okay. 7 stars, okay, and a sun star behind the head. And it is the leg of the bull as the Pleiades. I've shown from one coffin lid here. Look at the star match. Another coffin lid just shows it generally, but it's the most important part of the heavens to the ancient Egyptians, spoken of as the 7 eternal stars. So there we have it. Okay, so looking now at the detail around that leg of the bull, it has 7 components in all. This is quite amazing. And Taurus looking back at itself. These names are for the 7 stars, in my opinion, of Taurus. We also have 2 other stars. We have a trinity, a solar trinity taking place here. Looking closer at this area as well, you'll see just now the detail above here. There's even more story down here. But yes, I'm sure it's the leg of the bull as the Pleiades. The man wears the bull crown. The female, which is also the constellation Virgo on the zodiac aspect, shows the star on his staff with a bull above it and the bird on top of it, Horus, to found civilization. There are those 3 sun-like stars right there, in my opinion, and the bull looking back at his leg that has been severed. Our sun, I believe, is down here on the ecliptic because it's on the zodiac path with its position when viewed from the leg. In other words, viewing from the Pleiades, the sun is in the pincers of Scorpio. Now the cleaver is pointing down to the Genesis deities down here, first male and first female. There's a clue already with that alone. It's not just the leg that shows the way to the star. Maybe the cleaver with a very large arc in the sky does the same thing. We'll measure that as well. There's the zodiac disc. Let's go right in now to all the zodiac stars: Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, then Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer, Gemini. Now, to have all these exactly the same as they are today, scholars are just shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, perhaps it just got passed down and we didn't realize it. But there's another bit here. There's the sun, as I said, in the pincers of Scorpio, and I think our moon is shown on the zodiac because they're all on the ecliptic. And the 7 names for the 7 stars, I believe, incorporates the bull. So if there's any question, okay, the scholars say yes, Taurus, okay, fine, a bull is Taurus. This bull symbology in the whole of ancient Egypt is Taurus because it's part of the naming of this leg, which is a bull's leg and tied to the actual bull itself. Okay, let's have a little bit closer look at some details. There's a Stargate aspect to its design as well. I believe it's looking at a window through the Stargate device, and the address being at the middle of it. If it's a window to the most important part of the stars and the Genesis story, we have standing in the west situation where we are the viewer looking in an easterly direction and north and south to the sides. Now there's a quite important clue there, because if that's true, it's on the horizon. It's measuring this Genesis star rising on the horizon. And we can measure on a star program that angle and see if it really is the Pleiades. And that is what we're going to measure. And here is our star program, confirmed. Looking in an easterly direction on the horizon at Christmas Day, I think it is, yes, Christmas Eve. That is the star constellation angle. It's an exact match. So we have now more proof of it being the Pleiades. But here's the breakthrough. That is the little window we're looking at. Standing in the west, looking east, Pleiades, 3 sun-like stars, 2 that are very important in most of my star maps. The third one has a lot of movement. This one is moving at a heck of a pace through the Pleiades area. 10,000 years ago, it was around about, 100,000 years ago, it was in this position. That's where it is today. What do we have on the first degree tracing board? The same 7 stars and the same angle above the horizon. It seems to be an exact match. So Dendara matches the first degree tracing board with those stars. Now there's a second legend of Genesis where instead of Taweret they use the goddess Nut, and her womb is that triangulation. And this birthing of the most important sun star is shown coming from her womb in a separate tradition. This one probably predates the Taweret tradition, because Taweret is a hippo, it's Egypt. It's on Earth. It's probably only about maybe 12,000 years old at the most, but this even predates it from ancient teachings. As above, so below. That's the triangle pointing up, triangle pointing down. The birthed sun star. So let's have another look at some more detail. Here is where it gets very confusing and why scholars are still in disagreement. That is the Plough constellation as pole star. If that is true, let's see if it is a plough. First of all, there is the traditional Egyptian plough. You can see the similarity. It is a plough. It is the Plough constellation that is being shown here as the pole star. So it's not just showing a general northern constellations around the North Pole area. This really is pointing it right onto the plough itself as above the axis of the Earth. That's the zodiac ring of stars, and that's where they put the pole star position as the Big Dipper. And then we have our story now teaching about this Genesis. Taweret with this another symbol for this is the a cleaver, and it's pointing down to that star. So there are 2 ways to point down. And it's teaching as a herdsman where the leg has been severed from the bull to pull the plough. Think of the wording of what's going on here. plowing with the herdsman, teaching of the childbirth of humanity. There's something being told here, and this is where we have another breakthrough. Taurus, goddess of childbirth, is plowing to seed what? To seed our solar system with the Tauri human lineage seed. Our sun is next to the star of the gods, which is also very important. There's a time of the year when the two come together, and it's probably measured on a festival, and it's our sun that's being seeded in this Genesis story of Taurus. That's no doubt now that is the DNA code for humanity. That is that symbol, and that is where our sun is viewed from the Pleiades area in Scorpio, which is also amazing. This is also showing how it's kind of showing the way to it. And that's what it looks like on the star program when you view from the Pleiades where our sun is positioned. And of course, goddess Serket shows the little scorpion with the orb on her head as goddess of our sun in this instance. There it is, right there, that point on the plow. Right, now I'm showing this graphic here to show the similarity in the Mithraism tradition of severing the leg of the bull. It's with a cleaver. Looking at the star program, there's Bautis, the hippo goddess, Ursa Major, I should say, with the cleaver effect. You can see the cleaver now. Let's just do those details. So there's the cleaver. Now the plow. You can see it's a plow. There it is at Dendara. Now I can understand why they called it a plow. The similarity of that sort of graphic to the Egyptian plow. But now we need to measure what the cleaver is pointing to on the ecliptic. Here's the ecliptic. Here's our very important star area. Our sun passes right next to the star of the gods, as I mentioned earlier. And do you notice something here? There it is. Right there. The cleaver is another means of finding the location of the star of the gods. It's a much bigger arc in the sky. When we look at between Orion and the sun-like star, it's only 33 degrees of arc, okay? But this one is 90 degrees of arc measurement. 90 and 33 degrees of arc. There's Orion there filled in. 33 degrees with dividers and a square. 90 degrees. That sounds very familiar. Okay, so we have Bautis with the cleaver, the leg of the bull. Those parts and components now completely make sense, using this as a way shower to find the star of the gods. Now, precession has a point to add to it as well, because the North Pole wasn't exactly Polaris. It was, as they're showing on the Dendara disk, the Big Dipper. So my point is that the Big Dipper is the point of the area above the axis of the Earth. So here's what scholars have said. You've got this precession wobble. 2,000 years ago, they suggested Thuban in Ursa Minor was the old pole star. I disagree now. I'm saying it's more of an ellipse. You go back in time, probably to 12,800 years ago, before the impact event that started the wobble that I showed in my Atlantis discovery, what ended Atlantis and what caused the Earth to wobble. That is what I'm showing is different. That is my theory as Ursa Major being the pole star. Looking at another star atlas position, we're measuring a degree of difference from what scholars are saying to where I say the old North Pole axis star was. And if that is true, and we take it back to when the pyramids were designed for the old, before the flood design, when one shaft of the south aligns to the most important, the shaft aligning to the north goes to what is currently Polaris. This would have been the Big Dipper in ancient times. So what we're looking at really is the north and the south alignments, and this north alignment is the one I say is with the Big Dipper. But what is the south scan? On every Earth rotation, it's a scanned field of a ring of stars around the Earth, viewed with alignments. So there's the pyramid in Africa. We are measuring celestial pole with one, and it's the southern shaft that scans around the Earth every 24 hours. You won't believe what pyramids it scans. Here's a graphic. It's scanning an area that is below the Milky Way when Ursa Major was aligning with the pole star. So that's a whole different set of stars. Sirius is there, Orion is there, Taurus is there, the Pleiades especially align with the star shaft in one rotation every day of the year. Now, the question is my theory correct? Is this the 50 pyramid layout plan in Egypt, matching the star shafts? 1/3 of it is shown here from Sirius to the Pleiades, and that's 1/4, and this is the other 3/4 scan as you go past the Pleiades through Andromeda, Pegasus, Altair, Achernar, Canopus, and then back to Sirius. It is all there. All the pyramids match that layout. It's a 360-degree layout from Sirius, Giza pyramids as Orion. The Sun Temple is the X marks the spot right in the middle of the pyramid field.
If the pyramids represent stars, alongside the River Nile, representing the Milky Way, then could this star shaft alignment be revealing which stars are chosen for their counterpart pyramids? It most certainly could, and here are the alignments. Would we find the X that marks the spot correlation, the star of the gods? At Abu Sir, we have a possible correlation. It was once a cluster of 7 pyramids that Herschel believes looked like this. In a far greener Egypt, after a great cataclysm. Pyramids built to correlate with the Pleiades, and one special sun star. The site was also situated closest to the first city of Egypt, called Memphis. Today, there might still be the remains of 2 pyramid foundations, lying under sand.
Now let's continue checking and testing the remaining 3/4 scan of correlations south of Abu Sir. The correlation matches are an absolute match. Looking at the complex Andromeda constellation, as outlined here in astronomy, size correlations again are a match. Two of the largest stars correlate with 2 of the largest pyramids. Memphis, its first city, would obviously be built next to its most sacred monuments. Here is where we prove the X marks the spot correlation. At the epicenter of the pyramid field, we have the giant gold-capped Sun Temple obelisk near Abu Sir. The obelisk that correlates with a very specific sun star.
Up until now, we have believed the Sphinx of Egypt was the ultimate monument with the pyramids. But for something else. The real ultimate monument was the only gold-capped structure on record. It had a celestial ship landing platform. However, what has been missed is what the winged disk of the gods really looked like.
Let's begin, firstly with a simplified version of the Egyptian Genesis papyrus. The down-pointing triangulation of 3 sun stars next to the Pleiades was seen as the womb of the star goddess Nut. Legend claims the earth was also personified, like Nut, but as a green god, called Geb. His male anatomy, on the horizon shares the stars of Orion's belt, as he fertilizes Nut. This is where Nut births the sacred sun star, Sol 1 Primary. The Holy Grail legend, you will soon see, is based on this history where the chalice represents the celestial womb of 3 suns, and the blade, or stem, represents the male anatomy of Orion's belt, in celestial union.
It is from this special birthed sun that our ancestors set out in their celestial ship. Traveling down what looked like a beam of light, their craft landed on a raised platform, safe from lions in the area. Now let's piece together the components of the real papyrus record in tune with the narrative sequence. Nut is personified as the cosmos full of stars. Her fingers and toes touch the earth, from horizon to horizon. From her womb the utterance identifies a sun star, where 3 vertical stars in a row of Jeb align and establish all life from this sun star. The leg of the bull, the place of the gods, touches her toes to narrate the story of the gods landing on the flat back of the Sphinx. It is the Sphinx of Giza, because it has the dream stellar crown above its head, and the waldak headdress of the Osiris statue that was in front of it.
The celestial ship, radiating multicolored light, landed on the Sphinx landing platform. The image next to it now explains the celestial ship, with a double wormhole, as it flies with its own terra firma line, sketched in above the ground. Behold, the real Jed Ankhshuraf papyrus, from the Cairo Museum. This interpretation of ancient records might sound far-fetched, if it was not backed up by other ancient records. The thing is, the landing on the Sphinx has multiple records. The Sphinx was so sacred in the human Genesis legend, the ancient Egyptians wanted to show both sides, in one image but had great difficulty in doing so.
Here is how the ancients came to agree how the Sphinx should be on record. A double Sphinx was the solution. No wonder Egyptologists became skeptics. There are many king tomb records of Zep Tepi, as they show the ship landing and going inside the Sphinx. Some show a cross-section through the flying disc as well, and how the cosmic serpent conduit is what it traveled on and through. Some records celebrated the ship radiating light, with a bright feathered banner on a pole, to carry in processions. It was not an actual fan to call a king at all. It was placed impaled on models of the Sphinx, that also had a chamber of knowledge shown beneath it. Here is a close-up analysis of the ceremonial banner. It has Horus as its occupant, with his sun star as a crown. The Sphinx has a flat back, and what looks like a door filled in with concrete, that is on record as possibly the oldest concrete record on Earth. Let's recreate Egypt's first time when the Sphinx was built.
The entire area of over 40 feet of valuable limestone no doubt became the source of blocks needed to build the pyramids of Giza. In its earliest epoch, it was functional, as a raised celestial ship landing platform, out of reach of roaming lion. It had a door to the legendary underground Hall of Records. But the green rainy period would end after the effect of the Earth cataclysm we are about to explore. The spreading deserts soon encroached the Nile. Soon, the visits by the advanced ancestors ended.
Khufu the reigning king wanted the damaged Sphinx to have his face. Then more drought cycles would follow, and the pyramids became nothing more than a source of blocks for temple building. One day, Tutmosis, while sleeping under the hollow Sphinx head, heard a voice. The voice was most likely the star visitors, worried the weight of the wet sand would cause the Hall of Records to collapse. The star visitors possibly removed sacred objects and left. The terrible cyclic droughts returned, the sand burying all the sacred sites beyond management. The Sphinx saw the end of a great empire. Thousands of years followed until we see it as it is today.
In 2005, authors, Wayne Herschel and Birgit Lederer, explored the Senmit tomb. Inside, hidden in plain sight, is the definitive sealing record of the gods founding Egypt. Horus Soker as Orion Man shows the way to the leg of the bull star cluster, which then shows the way to the tiny sun star in the night sky. Goddess Circuit stretches a cord, representing the wormhole conduit to our solar system, and seen once again, with a scorpion. Wayne suddenly realized Scorpio might be the view of where our local sun is seen when viewed from the Pleiades. It is true. We need one more clue to decode all the secret symbols here. The UK's Cern Abbas giant in Dorset is Orion Man. But unlike the encoded secret rod, or his belt showing the way, it is his male anatomy.
Now the mural comes full circle. A line joins the phallus symbol with Orion Man. The mystery is decoded. The dot and circle symbol origin is revealed. The sun symbol denotes any sun with a planet, either alien or not. Wayne Herschel has decoded many ancient symbols for suns, but never ever, not for one moment, did he realize he would include this star map connection with the origins of Christmas itself. The conical beam of light from the sun star that we are about to see repeat in multiple cases might be one of the lost teachings of the Christ, actually celebrating human origins from a star that is also his star. The conical beam of light from our origin star, Wayne believes, is the Christmas tree tradition, celebrating our human origins from a sun-star system. Long before the Christ celebrated December the 25th, the ancient Romans celebrated this unconquered sun on this day, called Sol Invictus. How was this knowledge lost or repressed?
What we should be asking now is, was the Christ, the very same Orion Man great teacher, since he revived the real cross of the Church's teaching? Hungarian researcher Martin Molnar-Gobb proves Wayne's theory with Orion and the Pleiades are revived Christian teachings. The Latin banner has it written in many accounts and in stone. It shows the globus cruciga and 7 stars. The cross remains steady in the sky as the earth rotates. And the gold orb and cross secret meaning is now decoded. Historical monarchy leaders burned books with this ancient lost knowledge. Orion's 3 belt stars was also a Christian encoded story for the 3 kings, or magi, to personify the belt stars, to find the Star of Bethlehem. Old Bibles showing Orion or the Solar Trinity were burned. Some Bibles from 1892 showing Orion still exist today.
Forgotten ruins, complete Giza as Orion. They were ravaged for a source of blocks, but early maps can prove them. If Herschel's star map theory is real, then Giza should have had an alignment with the solar obelisk monument. Although correctly positioned, it seems Giza has orientation set with an earlier design plan that changed due to the legendary Great Flood. However, the 3 Giza pyramids appear to align with an earlier planned X marks the spot design. Over 12,000 years ago, During the Atlantis time period, the Moeris area might have even been the first option to build Atlantis in this warmer site. Predating the formation of the Nile Delta, there was a lake that had everything.
Lake Moeris was once warm and beautiful beyond compare. It had to have been a strong contender for Earth's first colonization. But the site had a big problem. Lions around the lake were most likely unmanageable. In the end, a cooler, safer and easy to transform Atlantic island became Atlantis. The Moeris layout design, with a beautiful lake island, perhaps included the smaller Pleiades pattern as well. The three Giza pyramids align with this island in the lake. After the cataclysm ended it, those of this settlement chose the pyramid field further up north, on the Nile. Giza's destiny as a huge port city came to nothing. Old manuscripts have it that two large pyramids were indeed discovered in the Moeris area. It was seen like this, before heavy floods some centuries ago washed the old Great Flood mud deposits down the Nile, into the lake, burying everything. Then the city of Memphis was built, its pyramid field focused around their new X marks the spot sun obelisk.
More recently, the internet has been abuzz with claims locating the tops of the lost pyramids adorned with statues. After the cataclysm that created the Nile Delta, the priorities of the survivors no doubt changed. In support of the Hapgood Pole theory, Wayne subscribes to the North Pole, having moved from the Hudson Bay position. For the Egyptian pyramids, their north-south sides align, so it means they were built after the Great Flood. Smaller monuments at Giza, already under construction, before the flood, might simply have been remastered to the new north-south alignments. Here is another clue: Giza never had conventional-looking dwellings. Herschel says, what first came to mind are bomb shelters. Their solid meter-thick roofs, and angled earthquake-resistant walls, best describes protection during an earthquake and meteor bombardment period.
The largest pyramids obviously had an internal function. For Wayne, these precision man-made crystal-line mountains are purpose-designed for using an internal, neutrino energy field. Firstly, to open a wormhole device to traverse the heavens physically. Secondly, to traverse the heavens, the star shaft to guide a visit to set targets, as an astral body, in an out-of-body experience. Wayne's sequel, the Alpha Omega Taurus Stargate, covers in depth ancient claims globally of travel via Stargate devices. How they function is literally out of this world.
In Germany, they found a bronze disc that you see here. It's called the Nebra disc. The cluster here is most likely the Pleiades. All very well, but let me take it a little bit further. What we have as well, crescent, probably a world in front of a sun showing the crescented sun peeping out, sun 2 and a sun 3. There's 3 in a row here. I think what I'm going to do is just superimpose a graphic over this.
As above, so below. Triangular monuments representing Orion's belt, pointing skyward to the Pleiades star area, with 3 suns. Can there be any bigger evidence to uphold Herschel's theories? There exists one, not so ancient star map that needs to be revealed. Herschel has been very respectfully careful of his interpretation of it. One that has many of the Society's members embrace it. Some, however, prefer it be left unsolved, allegorical, and mysterious. The first-degree tracing board details the story of the biblical Jacob's ladder. For Herschel, there are 3 Orion symbols, on the very same Senmut beam of light or ladder.
Looking eastwards, through the window, the 3 pillars on the ground, like in Rome, appear to mark the 3 sun stars. They're rising above the horizon, shown in correct orientation with the Pleiades. The light beam, or ladder, to the sacred star, depicts ladder steps, much like degrees of arc in astronomy, to measure 33 degrees distance. The old way to measure it in the sky, with instruments that predated the sextant device, as you see here. Interestingly, the Key of Solomon records also show a 33 degrees of sky measurement. Similarly, a Masonic teaching comes into play. Wayne is convinced it reveals how the star map can be remembered, by the sequence 3, 5, 7, 1. Follow the 3 Orion stars rising, continue through the 5 stars of Taurus, and you'll find the 7 stars of the Pleiades. Again, the secret of the Grail is revealed.
What you'll see next, no doubt, if true, will shake the very foundations of academia. But please remember, this must all be considered just a theory. Is it coincidence that Washington, D.C. has this leg of the ball layout? The X marks the spot showcased with the Great Obelisk. And is it coincidence that this human origins template is also found on Mars? How eerie, the Pentagon's design is almost identical to a 5-sided pyramid ruin on Mars with its north pointer.
Jerusalem seems to have the same ancient template. A leg of the Bull Fortress is absolutely definitive here. The Caiaphas Palace, the X marks the spot, once designed like the Sol obelisk in Egypt. The tomb of King David, in Sol 2 secondary correlation perhaps. The 12 Bulls human lineage fountain by Solomon's temple speaks volumes. Remember, Moses followed a pillar of cloud in the sky in the day and a pillar of fire at night.
There is more. Lalibela in Ethiopia has the very same layout design. So too, the city of Cape Town in South Africa with its star fortress.
Speaking of star fortresses, there is one that has become recently famous. Castel San Angelo is the X that marks the spot if Rome is a star map. Here is Rome's layout up close. Scholars say the 7 hills had a secret meaning. The Vatican Piazza marks out a cross and Chi Rho direction pointer as Orion. Its male anatomy perhaps enhanced with the obelisk. Here is the Pope's celebratory view on Christmas.
Coincidences or not, perhaps the abundant records of the origin of bull worship that is Roman Mithraism can dispute these earth-shattering new claims. The origins of Mithraism has endured extensive attacks and cover-ups over the centuries, so one would think there is very little to shed light on the subject. But one recent discovery slipped into the news before it could be shut down. The leg of the bull origin legend begins here, as it was severed from Taurus, matching Egyptian legend. This is the Mithraeum mural in Barberini, Rome, and the story unfolds pictographically according to Wayne Herschel and Martin Molnar-Gobb. There are 2 pictographic narrator deities with magical rod devices. The deity begins to sever the leg of the bull, to set it free, to where it now resides astronomically, as seen under his cloak, which also represents an open cosmic conduit. The 3 sun stars are here too, beneath a tapered ray of light. The cosmic serpent conduit, from the bull's leg, connects in the direction of Scorpio, to between its pincers, representing Tauri human origins arriving here, in our solar system. Some say, the red cape and blue bodysuit protagonist here, inspired the superhero, Superman. Here is the full pictographic decoded message. The origins of humanity from Taurus is what the ancient bull obsession was all about. There is another recent leg of the bull ancient site discovery to add here. The Acropolis in Athens, Greece, had the celestial template, and a special hill, as the X marks the spot. Just like Lullybella, a cross-shaped structure is there today. How appropriate, it became the Athens Observatory. Was it built in this design, using an already pre-shaped ancient foundation? The hill, after all, is named after a group of sacred feminine deities that the famous Voynich manuscript already associated with the Pleiades. Let's show you how Wayne rebuilds the lost design of the Acropolis. Only the 3 relief structures are visible today as highlighted in this graphic. The secrets of its past came to light when scholars in the 1800s first identified the earliest relief maps of the area, seen in the insert here. It showed that the Acropolis was joined with what was called the Hill of Mars in another coincidentally apt name. This made possible the correct shape for the original complete relief design. Then more recently, scholars released a paper on the earliest civilization here, that built a cyclopean megalithic wall. This suggested the extended shape of the Acropolis once included a bigger monument than what is there today. Oh, by the way, the Parthenon design is on record that it celebrates one very special star cluster rising in the east. It was the Pleiades. Since the Hill of Mars is hoof-shaped, Wayne recognized its hidden secret, matching other ancient sites with the very same Pleiades and star god obsessions.
The famous Templar Oak Island mystery has the sacred bull's leg shape. Perhaps the idea that the real treasure site would one day only be safely retrieved by their own fellow Templars that knew the X marks the spot secret. Herschel's claim of having found the Holy Grail, or Sangreal it was called, is the result of yet another snowball effect his star map quest triggered. What might have been an ancient human origins teaching ritual about the star maps, had Herschel dig deeper into what the ancient sacred communion chalice rituals could reveal. Here are 2 grails, depicting the solar trinity. Herschel made his Grail origin breakthrough in Suku Temple, in Java. Emulated here is the sacred masculine Orion and the sacred feminine of Nut, uniting with the sun stars. Is this the ancient teaching of an Egyptian human origins ritual? The golden chalice indicative of the Sangreal holy bloodline from the womb of Nut? Seated by Geb, as Orion's belt. Time will tell. India's Yoni and Lingam teaching appears similar. Anything can easily be dispelled as coincidence. But what if there's a common denominator? The teaching's power to uplift and unite humanity? Another ancient Hindu temple shows the Yoni and Lingam with the cosmic dragon conduit and 3 suns. Coincidence or not, let us remind ourselves, these findings are just a logically based theory.
As we begin to measure the solar trinity of Christianity against Egyptology, it is worth mentioning Norse mythology's version, the tree Eskel. The way the ancients personified the sacred stars is uncanny. The arms of the Mohenjo-Daro's goddess statue are similar in how they are in the Ankh, to symbolize life. Teachings for the sun-star Sol 1 primary began with father, mother and child analogies.
The ancient Egyptian artifacts actually have a lot to show, and scholars will probably not agree with what I have to say here, but let's start with these 3 here. This is not really an Egyptian artifact. This is the North African fertility god. Okay. You might wonder, what has that got in connection with the Ankh? And what has the Ankh got in connection with this Shen? These 3 have an amazing connection. Okay, let's start. First of all, this is Tutankhamun's mirror box. Now what you're going to see with this is the Tau cross for Taurus, I believe, and it has the almond shape, call it a Shen, because you'll see the Shen has exactly the same sort of binding, if we can call it that. Let's call it the binding on that one. And if you look at this one, it has the same binding. So basically what this is the Tau cross with the Shen on top of it, but made to be this almond shape in a dual teaching about this entity, the fertility god. What Tutankhamun showed on here is very revealing. He puts his name as the gatekeeper. You'll see it with beautiful flaring effect, which is basically the top view of the lotus flower, and he puts his name in it as keeper for the secret of our sun system in connection with these three sun stars, one being more important than all the others. And if you think my star map and Stargate theory might sound a little bit far-fetched, watch what happens here. Look at these cosmic serpents bursting out of the Shen symbol. It's the round Shen symbol, which we have seen just now. Is that. So let's quickly cut to this one. Same three suns again. Tutankhamun, I believe, is the one shown here. This might be the initiate that goes through the so-called Stargate. Again, on top of the lotus flower that opens like a cosmic wormhole. Cosmic serpents connecting to temples, and he is the one that is the gatekeeper. So what I believe this is showing is the actual Stargate device.
Seen here is a North African statue. As in Egypt, it purportedly stands for the very small entities who watch over all life on Earth. The Ankh itself seems to be based on the Grey, an alien entity. Here, the Ankh incorporates some complex thought-provoking detail. On it, Wayne Herschel identifies elements of the Stargate device to three suns. One is bigger to highlight its importance. Cosmic serpent plasma is now seen in detail. The T symbol, the Tau, represents the three suns that we will cover shortly.
Dragon symbology, with three suns, is not uncommon in illuminated manuscripts. It is symbology, closely coinciding with the Grail, globally. But what about the controversial Baphomet? Tragically, the teaching she stands for has been completely demonized, not to attract attention. She never had a goat's head. Her head was filled with wisdom of human origins, a blueprint geometry code. Back to the tracing board star map. The Grail can be seen at the top of the ladder. It now all makes sense. Christianity's amazing symbols have more to reveal on their origins. The Trinity symbol to start with. Comprising three suns, this appears to be its grand secret. What about the Templar Trinity records? A serpent and cosmic feline connect all three suns, as seen in other traditions so far.
The mother was removed from the personified Trinity teaching and replaced with the spirit. Could it be thanks to a medieval male-dominated society? If, as Herschel deduces, the cross is Orion, showing the way to the three sun stars, the lowermost orb most likely identifies our solar system. Again, in the context of the Grail. The ancient three-window design of sacred places has a name all of its own. Called a triptych, Wayne says they celebrate portals to the sun stars, their size defining their importance.
It takes a keen eye to spot valuable secrets, hidden in ancient manuscripts, like this one in Aramaic. The script here speaks of the cross, and the Grail, and shows a little sketch in its margin. See if you can spot what became the biblical verbatim reference to the Band of Orion, where mention is also made of the Pleiades. The King James translation shows the line. Now compare it with the Aramaic translation. Wayne Herschel uses a website called Bible Hub to verify his ancient sources. From years studying it, he has been able to formulate as closely as possible the original meanings. It is time to reveal the face on Mars monument, that also happens to have an identical counterpart monument on Earth, near the Israel border. Are these both just a trick of light and shadow, as academics insist? In star viewing nights, Wayne uses old hand symbology for 3 fingers pointing heavenward, while another, pointing to Orion's belt. Notice how Orion has a nebula. We'll soon see why.
Four of the big 5 religions of the world might have split up the complete star map into 4 parts for each of their religious icons. Since this is a sensitive subject, Wayne has now decided to leave just the basic components of the map of heaven for you to study in your own time. But what about the biggest religion of them all? And where does Wayne's cosmic dragon conduit theory fit in? It seems to complete and link the 4 parts of the map of heaven. It seems that the Far East chose for its icon the cosmic portal mechanism itself, which once connected the deities of all religions with the sacred place in the heavens. Is this all just a coincidence? History's legend of the Key of Solomon holds valuable ancient knowledge. Wayne believes it has a star map, with a Stargate teaching. The Clavicular Solomonese ancient manuscript in the British Library reveals Aramaic and Hebrew symbols. The left talisman is the actual key aspect of Solomon. A Templar cross star map with a double cross. It is Orion. It has Orion's nebula sword and the head cluster. Looking now at the larger ring cipher, we have the complete cross of Orion. The extra detail fulfills Orion's head and sword stars. The puzzle begins here. We must follow Orion's belt to the star in the center, with beam of light and 4 orbs. The Egyptian Tuaket symbols identifies our local sun's path from horizon to horizon. It reveals the ecliptic.
To solve the cipher puzzle, start by following the alignment to the first dial-up symbol. Each component is a piece of a constellation. Proceed anti-clockwise, and watch it reveal itself. Wayne says, what we have here has to be a Stargate window. It shows the correct star cluster orientation above the eastern horizon of a very old Pleiades. Once with 8 stars, an X-ray nebula today replaces the perished one. The ecliptic is a match, where the X marks the spot Sun star is found. The sketch, no doubt just a copy of a lost sacred gold artifact. Now compare the pattern to Stonehenge. With detail so similar, what if both represent the same thing? Both star maps even have the same 4 exoplanets. Other ancient talisman records, like the Seal of Solomon, identifies the Tau symbol for 3 suns, the Alpha and Omega symbols, and the Star of David, apparently made of 7 components, for the Pleiades.
Here we have the encoded human blueprint geometry code. Found in 3 ancient star maps, Wayne Herschel will now reveal Vitruvian man's secret. It was once a combination of both sacred feminine and sacred masculine to reveal its amazing geometry. 3 equilateral triangles and 2 right-angled triangles. Here is the Egyptian Giza human code, where the 3 corners of the 3 pyramids are like a rod, seen in the Senmut tomb, showing the way. The Mars 5-sided pyramid presents this human code and adds a human face monument with its message.
I realized in 1997 that Stonehenge, when seen from above, has a cluster of mounds near it that mimic the Pleiades. Stonehenge is the X that marks the spot. It's the same star map.
Now let's solve star map Stonehenge with the Winterbourne Stoke Barrows. There are 4 mounds, just like the Key of Solomon's secret. The other mounds in a LiDAR scan complete the star map. X-ray sources confirm that Orion's belt once had 4 stars in a row, as shown here. But this huge ancient astronaut geoglyph that Wayne found on Google Earth is mind-blowing. It shows the way to X marks the spot. There are more developments here at thehiddenrecords.com. The time has come to look at what could be the oldest human records.
The Lascaux Cave of Bulls in France show the star map. The cave in Lascaux correctly identifies a very ancient time with 4 Orion's belt stars, like at Stonehenge. They show the way, as it was shooting through the bull's eye, to the Pleiades. But there is more. The ancient artist added a row of dots to what could be a human face. Compare with the star map. Wayne's template of the X marks the spot is most likely a match here. Another wall of the cave repeats the theme but differently. Again, it is Orion man's male anatomy showing the way. It was in 2002 that Wayne made this finding. Egypt's bird-headed deity Horus was Orion man. The downward-pointing arrow means to found civilization. As in Mithraism, the bull looks back, the male anatomy, seeding humanity as the Tauri, the people that founded civilization.
Another similar period ancient site is Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. It also highlights Taurus. This civilization also obsessed in bull worship. Compare here to ancient Egypt and the Moses story where a special son of the gods was included on the bull's head. Herschel believes this is what the site once looked like. No excavation seems on the cards for the 2 round targets. This is Wayne's interpretation of the star relief on the most famous artwork there. Orion is shown more like the letter H. Notice the band of Orion's belt as an ellipse and a sun and crescent, for X marks the spot. But the biggest breakthrough here is Scorpio, correctly orientated, facing a founding civilization bird deity, holding what must be our Earth sun.
There is more. By now you'll recognize the meaning by simply looking at the symbolism. Wayne opposes the theory that the ancients here buried their dwellings. Let's not forget, this was during the Ice Age. The round dwellings had to have been built, with mounds to insulate their roofs. In time, the dwellings collapsed, burying themselves. The perpetually wet timbers, covered in soil, would rot away completely.
The Maya, I believe, celebrated the exact same star map obsession as well.
Wayne Herschel defines the empire of the Maya with inclusion of the Olmec and Aztec periods. Ancient astronaut theory is abound here. The El-Bal stela is a good place to start. Herschel gives his interpretation with his replica. Researchers agree that it's of an ancient astronaut, wearing a helmet, and a breathing device, with a vaporous discharge. Wayne adds that the deity in the wormhole conduit opening might be gifting the Maya with corn. A star map is also evident. See the conduit window, with the Pleiades 7 dots. The bird head confirms the founding of a civilization. This artifact shows what looks like 3 suns, an Omega star gate symbol, and correctly beneath it, the cross.
The Mayan books called codices, that the Spanish captured, show the star map. Here, a fair-haired deity, his gloves partly removed from his suit, interacts with people passing through the cosmic serpent conduit. Here is Wayne's interpretation of the detail. Compare the cosmic traveler, emerging from the serpent mouth. The monument relief showing the typical, very square sun god face, with odd hairline. Artifacts globally show consistency, with which the Pleiades and 3 suns are depicted. The Maya show the god of all creation, as a tree of life. This Wayne also believes, from his near-death experience, in a motorcycle accident in the 90s. Pause the next few screens, for all the extra symbolism.
Wayne's finding on the Maya's detail of their Stargate device is mind-blowing. Here the cosmic serpent, with the Tau symbol in its mouth, emerges from a sun star. A plasma stream conduit with a device decodes the cosmic serpent. Wayne has identified the Omega as the Stargate symbol's point of origin and destination. We have a device that appears, in a non-active status, at the top of the page. But extreme conclusions like this need way more. The codex shows the fair-haired star traveler, stepping out the device, a cosmic puma, with either 3 suns or Orion's belt, the Omega, and much more.
Enter the famous Mayan calendar stone. Herschel highlights Orion, at its center. A side recess crudely shows the Pleiades, and the X marks the spot, perhaps an afterthought artwork addition for clarity. Few realize the artifact's enormity. In a huge shocker, the stone design secret will overturn everything on record about it. The stone looks a little like a large champagne cork. A plug stone comes to mind. Is this how the ancients could cap a Stargate? Preventing a device from operating. especially if buried with it. The star visitors would be prevented from visiting. The movie, Stargate, might have been a good way to hide forbidden history with fiction. This Mayan vase has something Nostradamus sketched. A V-shaped celestial ship, a conduit to 3 sun systems, with one conduit opening in the pincers of Scorpio, where our sun and earth lies. One of the largest pyramids ever built on Earth was also by the Maya. It might be the oldest monument on Earth, so much debris and soil covered it. Compare it with today. In his book, The Hidden Records, published in 2002, the author reasoned the odd sizes of the 3 monuments. It was all about the astronomical illumination factor, not the star magnitude. Still, the age of the monument screams out, it is the oldest monument on Earth. In Herschel's Atlantis claim, he identifies an old North Pole position before an impact event that altered the Earth axis. The old North Pole was in the Hudson Bay over 12,800 years ago. It confirms why the pyramid's sides are aligned as they are.
The site would obviously be ideal for the Stargate device. Lo and behold, here it is. An accurate pyramid star map, supporting Herschel's theory, is at the site of Tikal. Here the X marks the spot. Monument has a very familiar square sun god face, with forehead marker hidden beneath it. Compare the correlations of the oldest of these pyramids with the stars. We ignore the later pyramids built there in pairs. They're based on a seasonal belief system. Before we look at the next set of pyramid ruins, let's commit to memory this face structure seen with 7 pyramids.
Mars, according to NASA, was once like the Earth with oceans. I take this a lot further in theory. I found a site called Cydonia, which is well known for its strange face monument and pyramid ruins. This is the perfect example of a star map presentation on the ground that is the most accurate of all of them.
Mars, according to latest scientists' claims, was once just like the Earth, with oceans. What they all avoid, like the plague, are the odd things found on this planet. A rover explorer found this interesting object. Wayne enhanced the image and added true color. When compared, this is what you get. The area called Cydonia is a correlation masterpiece with the stars. If Herschel's star map theory so far has you doubting, then spend some time with these images. To begin, he compares star sizes with anomaly sizes on a star program, with the time correlation best fitting, around 17,250 years ago. Up close, the pyramid cluster is slightly more mathematically perfect in layout. There's even a trapezium. Even the tiny stars have counterparts. The so-called 5-sided Dendara pyramid boasts the human code. It aligns with the face monument, as if to say, we humans first evolved here at the Sol 2 solar system, then founded Sol 1, which is where they came from, to colonize our solar system.
This is how Wayne managed to render, arguably, the clearest version ever of the face on Mars. The entire structure is riddled in megalithic blocks. For licensing usage of this higher resolution image, see below. It is for use at a later date. By enhancing and sharpening an almost 14 megabyte high resolution JPL image from NASA, and adding the correct light and shadow from Viking's version, and correct color, he got a perfect 2 megabyte general usage 3D image. Here is its full symmetrical detail. Even identified are an eye, the hairline, and an impact-scarred mouth. The Cydonia area on Mars is just a small part of the largest geoglyph ever found in our solar system. It is of a cosmic lion dragon. Just as the Sphinx partly represents this possibility with its Leo clue, it also carries Orion's belt on its lower back in correct orientation.
A narrative of a lion, acknowledging the human form pyramid by its nose, is a lot to consider. Over 12,000 years ago, before it became a dead planet, the lion geoglyph would have been green. Herschel found megalithic sites and illuminated manuscripts with an Orion and green lion depiction. Case in point. Examine closely this stone relief at a pyramid mound site in ancient Turkey. It matches the coin. The Indus civilization seal shows the same connection, the cosmic lion of Wayne's star map, with the plasma ribbon conduit to the tree of life source.
The Indus civilization of India have one very amazing artifact that really tells you a lot about their origins at Mohenjo-daro. A cosmic serpent lion, dragon, being ridden by an entity with a very, very unusual looking face, and he is holding the 3 stars in a row that he's teaching as Orion man to follow to find the 7, which is the Pleiades. And then the entity holding this cosmic serpent, pretty much explaining like a title for the lion. But what makes it really special is the cosmic tree is tied in with what he is riding. This cosmic serpent dragon is part of the cosmic tree.
The cosmic lion is the cosmic dragon, which is also the cosmic serpent. 3 encoded traditions that valued the secret. The Indus civilization, like all the other sites worldwide, knew the Omega symbol represents the Stargate.
It comes as no surprise that sci-fi films feature a face monument. An anomaly like this actually exists on Earth, as shown earlier on Jordan's border with Israel. Whilst studying the biblical Jacob's ladder texts, Jacob saw what he identified as none other than the missing face monument on Earth. It said it was at Sukkoth, which translates as the Pleiades. He checked on Google Earth, and this is what he found. The same square design, forehead mark, and odd hairline. It is on record as a mysterious Bronze Age built mound. This is where they excavated beneath the mouth area, and found the oldest usage of the word Elohim, where it is used, in plural, denoting many heavenly gods. What about the other great civilizations? Do the Inca and the Sumerians obsess in the same cosmic teachings? The answer is a resounding yes.
Here's my proposed mystery solution to the Inca. Yes, it's the same star map again.
The Inca are without doubt the ultimate megalithic civilization, and known for their polygonal blocks. Wayne Herschel makes a scientific case for blocks, softened like dough, to fit to perfection here. See the spew effect, left behind, as new blocks are seated onto the bulging lower row. The Inca obsessed in the stars, star gods, and traversing the rainbow conduits, seen as dragons with lion faces. This is one of the last great murals. Seen here, the lion dragon, with plasma tongue ring, denoting the device. The picture frame possibly represents the full-size device. The king's Taurus bull and crescent horns headdress, a rod, with a blazing star, with crescent, the exoplanet. His spiral ear decoration denotes the swirling opening conduit. The bird stands for founding civilization.
The first Inca city at Cusco, the Coricancha, housed 7 sacred temples inside an enclosure, in the shape of a leg of the bull, for the Pleiades. Here is what Herschel proposes, as the sacred geoglyph of the Inca, the puma. Its genitals are indicative of seeding the nation's lineage. For the Inca, the dark nebula of the stars made the shape of a puma. The red nebula seems acknowledged, where its neck is. The elbow is also clear. For Wayne, there is even meaning to the matted wet fur of its 2 front legs. It explains the 2 zigzag walls of the ancient site, tourists know well. But it is what was once in the temple for the special star, lost in the Spanish invasion, that will reveal all. gods will return, when a fragmenting comet is in our news.
This rock carving reveals what will be found at Machu Picchu.
A leg of the bull.
The Pleiades as its central theme, with 3 sun stars above it. The biggest clue here is the miniature platform. Wayne believes it is a model of Machu Picchu's hitching post of the sun. The beam of light symbol, no doubt once had a gold obelisk added to it. It's all about the tiny little stone square protrusion on top of it. Machu Picchu is built below a giant mountainside that looks like a face, called Wayne Picchu. Is this going to be the X marks the spot? Quite likely, but we need to see it from above.
The leg of the bull area is unmistakable. But are there any other instances of this iconic shape on site? Wayne calls this the Machu Picchu tidal stone. It is claimed to match the horizon. Wayne says more likely, it reveals that the mountain city itself is the leg of the bull. Here is the Inti platform, with the rock protrusion, called the hitching post of the sun. The platform is also in the shape of a leg of the bull. The star map is now completely decoded. It even includes the Sol 3 position. The chin of the face mountain correlates with Sol 1, as the X marks the spot. One wonders, what treasures are hidden within this rock area? Did the ancient Inca perhaps build a hidden rock texture door, disguised as natural stone, to hide a secret chamber? This is a story for another time.
The Sumerian artifact collection that I have here really completes the most controversial and most revealing of all the artifacts with star knowledge and star god ancestors. This is probably the most famous artifact of all the Sumerians. The disc, the Nineveh disc, found in Nineveh. This particular artifact, I believe, has Orion shown here and a little arrow coming off it, pointing the way. And the other side of it, it shows a more planned view of Orion as a cross, and that you're following this cross. And you're following to what? They all seem to be the exit marks, the spot in the middle here. Here, this story here teaches about a journey, following a journey in the stars, following past 7 dots here, and it ends up with a collective of 3 and then 1. Probably 3 for the 3 ancestor stars, and how it has this connection with our sun. That is the Nineveh disc interpretation that I have put together as a star map, completely different to scholars. Now, if you look at any ancient Sumerian seal, this is typical of what you see. You'll most likely see the 7 stars of the Pleiades. I believe this is a crescented world associated with a star, this tiny little one here, next to obviously the exoplanet, Pleiades, and then how they got winged discs that fly. And what we have here, I believe, is a man coming through a cosmic dragon. And next to him is showing the 3 stars rising on the horizon of Orion's belt that you follow to find that star. And the king has dominion over this Stargate, and you'll see he's riding the cosmic lion. And I believe the cosmic lion is the symbol for the cosmic serpent dragon wormhole. So that's the one basic artifact, simplicity. But you'll see all these recurring Pleiades themes. For example, the one behind me here, this is from the Pergamon Museum in Berlin. This is probably Gilgamesh. He holds the mace with the, I think it's a symbol for our sun. On top of it, he has dominion over it, and he's stepping off Taurus. The 1 foot here is actually stepping off the cosmic bull. It's 3-dimensional. And he is saying, behold, Pleiades, sunlight star, exoplanets. It's as simple as it gets. This is bull worship personified here with Gilgamesh. And of course, next to it, the disc that flies. Winged disc, serpents coming out of it. this one, Pergamon Museum. I'm going to take it off the stand. In Berlin is Gilgamesh again, showing more of an Orion personification. Note he is not in the normal Sumerian clothing. He's in a bodysuit wearing a belt. This is totally abnormal. Even his haircut here doesn't even make sense. He's got like a GI cut. He is the Starman with a world in front of a sun. And near the Pleiades. That's exactly what we've seen in all the others. Pleiades and this important sun, and here we have the exoplanet. But if he is teaching about Orion, he is showing his position as Orion, showing the way to this. It is found, and he has Orion, he has Taurus. This is totally in sequence together. The two actually superimposed over the sun-like star and its exoplanet. And there's the part that's so important about Taurus. It's an ellipse that is flared, like illuminated, and the bull is looking back with sort of joy that this is what he's all about. But there's more to the story here. Look at this ancient artifact. This is actually another piece of another seal. It shows a man looks like Father Christmas. The cross. The Sumerians knew all about the cross, and they followed it through a little marker to the sun. And they're actually showing in this seal, what's so important is they're showing the meaning of this hieroglyph. This Sumerian hieroglyph is basically the exit marks the spot. This is showing the cross of the churches, the symbol for the place of the gods is that symbol. That's my interpretation. But the story gets even more complicated. These are what are buried with Sumerian kings. These deities are definitely not human looking. One male and one female. Are they reptilian? Absolutely not. This is a mother breastfeeding its child. This is totally mammalian. But a very large head, very large eye sockets. These are probably some of the types of visitors of a human lineage that are very advanced with elongated heads. Not reptilian. Then we get to this story here. Zecharia Sitchin made this one very famous. This is the, I think, let's just call it a Sumerian goddess. I think she's actually a pilot of some sort, wearing a helmet with goggles. But sacred feminine, Ishtar, there's other names for her. And I wondered about this technology around here. And you'll notice the strange neck area. It shows a breathing pipe type, let's call it a flexi pipe, that is part of a breathing apparatus, perhaps. Now, when we look at what Zecharia Sitchin made famous, this is the little rocket man of Istanbul. It's in the Istanbul Museum. You can see his little boots here, bodysuit, holding some sort of a control, and same this side. Okay, very unusual. Okay, but what we want to know is what kind of head was once on here. And then I noticed this. If you look very closely at this, that little breathing device, pipe, is right there. I'm sure I can pick up in the camera. Whoops, let's try to focus a bit better. Move back a little bit. Yeah, there. That little breathing pipe is the giveaway. Now we know what kind of head once existed on this artifact. It's this. The Ishtar head completes the artifact now, like that. So that, I believe, was once the ancient alien artifact completed, sold. Now, out of all of these Genesis artifacts, these are the beginnings of humanity. There's one stone that completes the story as the Genesis stone. And that is the one right here. The one I'm about to unveil. This is the ultimate stone of the ancients. The Genesis artifact. It's in the Pergamon Museum. Again, the Pleiades, 3 suns, cosmic serpent coming from it, the boot, let me get this a bit closer to the light, the boot symbol for to travel to, the Horus bird symbol to found civilization. They're traveling in the direction of Scorpio. That's where our sun is. If you go to the Pleiades on a star map program, look for where our sun is, guess where our sun resides? Right here. And there is the opening Stargate, I believe, cosmic conduit opening like a lotus flower. It's an Omega symbol that is opening, and there is the mace for our sun. Now the Omega symbol upside down here is shown the right way around here in space for the place of origin and the Pleiades. Now this whole story is quite amazing because it has 4 text panels on it, and I'll show them with an overlay in this image right now. You can press pause and have a look at it just now. But what we've got here is a story being told twice. Okay, first of all, 3 temples on the ground. 1, 2, 3. This is the awake dragon. Here he is coming out. This dragon is supposedly awake. The details hard to see on the camera. And 2 sleeping dragons. These are the symbols that represent the stargates. Now, going back to that previous artifact, there are your 3 symbols: spiky point, flange nail head, cosmic serpent. There they are. All 3 of them are there. So those are the 3 titles of the 3 temples where the stargates are. There's 1 active, 2 that have been shut down. To emphasize the shutdown story right here, 2 capped temples. There are your temples with capped triple. They need some lighting here. Let's go back a bit more. I need to get the light to it. There we go. Now you can see these strange hats that the ancients wore with 3 horns, 3 Taurus horns on it. I believe this is symbolic of them being capped. 2 of them, that's why the 2 sleeping dragons are in that part of the story, being told here is 1 capped, 1 active, 2 capped. But this is only half the star map. Here's Pleiades, 3 sun-like stars. You can see one is a sickle crescent. It'll be a sun with a world in front of it. This is the sun showing a cross over it to tell you. You used a cross to find it, and it's blazing. And then the one just a star as the symbol for that sun marker. Now on the other side of it, we have the rest of the star map. This is where Orion resides. Orion, being told, is the 3 magi that follow to find the star. It starts off with the dog star, Sirius. Okay, dog symbol in the air, floating. 3 land markers, pylons on the ground, look like flags, with flags emanating from them. That is the teaching of following 3 markers on the ground. But then they tell the story again with 3 personified kings with dragons. There's 1 active dragon, and the 2 here being held back on a leash, sleeping, inactive. But the most amazing thing about it is, okay, so it's Sirius, Orion, through the eye of the Taurus. Here's the target area, finding the cosmic Aldebaran star, the bullseye, to get to the rest of the star map here. Okay, but just going right back again, the big elephant in the room here is that. This is the whole story of how they got here. It looks like a mau, a very large object in the sky seen on the artifact. If you look at it in context of the whole thing, you'll see the graphics that follow explaining the whole story.
Of all the world artifact collections, showing evidence of star-obsessed civilizations and their star gods, the Sumerian Empire has to be the most detailed. But first, the Babylon star map. Not much left to go by, but a good place to Skulls, like this elongated one, with large eye sockets, are found at many megalithic sites worldwide. They seem to be the same large-headed beings as the small deity artifacts here, with the same large eyes. They were not reptilian. She is shown breastfeeding her infant. Wayne found 2 coinciding ancient astronaut artifacts. The statue of Inanna, and author Sitchin's famed headless rocket man. Both have the same flexipipe air supply technology for the helmet. Therefore, this is what the missing head might have looked like.
The Sumerian seals now reveal their secrets. Orion's belt shows the way to the sun star. It has a Sumerian deity, with a star crown, designating this star god title. She rides the cosmic lion dragon, to traverse the heavens. The Pleiades are near the sun star, and so too the crescent exoplanet. The winged disk chariot of the god teaches flight. The 3 sun temples have unique titles. Scroll seals almost always include these 4 icons. Here is a quick preview of the 3-pillar temple title icons that we will analyze in what Wayne calls the Genesis Stone.
As in Egypt, the Sumerians have similar iconology for their teachings, and Orion Man is also there. Speaking of Orion Man, this stone tablet here denotes a very thorough definition of what exactly bull veneration entails. So sad, it became a ritual of worship over time instead of expression of honor of their origins. The meaning of why the bull was highly regarded comes into its own fully in this stone tablet. A few examples from the hiddenrecords.com. This one with a comet seems to be a time marker for their return. The spectacular Nineveh disk. Watch closely for the detail.
The 7 dots are clearly the Pleiades here. The text explains how one follows past them. Follow the arrow to find 3 suns, and Wayne believes, the planet of our ancestors. A very special collection theme of artifacts called Kudurrus shows serpent dragons, and cosmic serpents are both one and the same thing.
The capped Stargate claim, no doubt leaving you with more questions than answers. It's time to turn the pages of Europe's illuminated manuscripts from yore to find outside proof if 2 such portals were capped. And also, the role of the sacred cosmic dragon man teacher. We begin with John Dee's secret monad symbol that Wayne decodes here. It's the bird symbols and serpent interactions where he'll find the answers to the basis of humanity's beginnings. The Maya origin Mexican flag holds the secret. It reveals a powerful eagle and serpent interaction secret. The eagle stands for human founding civilization. Keep in mind its act of grasping and having dominion over the serpent, as the forgotten teaching is decoded. Our human founders controlling stargates is revealed.
This is how Dragon Man fits in. Here is one source. Before we reveal Dragon Man's identity, let's look at the 3 personified sun stars with bird beaks. The expressions of the faces of the 2 choking knotted cosmic serpents tell all. The crescent sun star beak personification seems angered. Despite a large beak, it falls short from manipulating the cosmic serpent and is cut off entirely. The middle sun star seems bewildered, its small beak preventing it from manipulating the cosmic serpent. The John Dee symbol with cross and bull horns reigns supreme. Its very developed beak can do what it wants. With the Stargate, the cosmic serpent here is completely under human control.
In essence, what Wayne has decoded here is 2 obsolete stargates from 2 solar systems. They are capped as his Genesis stone and Mayan calendar theories confirmed earlier on. But who is the Dragon Man? As we look at the next example of Dragon Man, by famous prophet Nostradamus, we learn more. He appears to be a cosmic teacher involving the star map. The flame, the essence of his prophecy. For Wayne, the flame is synonymous with how humanity has tortured the cosmic dragon teachings, the essence of God creation. He is hopeful something is going to change this, and soon. Dragon Man in this manuscript is shown as a once much esteemed king. The sword, like the beak, keeps the conduit open, in the interests of its keepers. This otherworldly leader, we now know, makes his way to our solar system in Scorpio. What happens next is anyone's guess.
Seen in illuminated manuscripts, the Christ himself, many will now consider might have been the last great Orion man teacher. Herschel believes Dragon Man is also the title of the cosmic messenger teacher. Having tried to teach humanity, and our powers that be on many occasions, always rejected him. Let's see what the Christ was secretly encoded as teaching here. The three kings as Orion's belt and solar trinity will be revealed. His halo with cross title, one tiny sun star above it, and a sun with crescent. All coincide with the trinity symbols of the ancients. Three fingers identify direction to follow, while he points to Orion's belt. Orion Man, who is also Dragon Man, standing on terra firma, links up with our sun. Wayne's co-writer discovered that the Chi Rho symbol of P for Pleiades is mimicked by the very friendly-looking, almost Pink Panther-styled cosmic dragon. The Rosicrucian four-petal rose cross is on the serpent body. But where is the Stargate ring device? It's hidden in plain sight. A very special collection theme of artifacts called Kudurrus shows serpent dragons, and cosmic serpents, are both one and the same thing. Scholars refer to them all as boundary marking stones. It is now referred to as the Genesis Stone. The depictions and texts on them are all about the gods founding their land on earth. That is what is special about them. Take a moment to preview the general detail that Herschel has been able to decode. It will now be completely reconstructed in an animation. The three sun stars are here. The symbols that define each of them are the same worldwide. One with a crescent world, one with a cross, and one as a star. They are found near the Pleiades. Below them, three temples for three suns. As above, so below. Two sleeping cosmic dragons. Plus one that is awake and active. Are the titles for the three temples. The Omega symbol is the Stargate connecting heaven and earth.
The second half theme explains how the gods arrived through the cosmic serpent conduit. The boot symbolizes travel. The bird, to found civilization. And the greatest detail of all is Scorpio that we already know well. It is how our solar system is viewed from the Pleiades. Watch now how the receiving destination Omega symbol comes alive on Earth to receive them. This is the symbol it now changes to, depicting its activity. It denotes our sun, next to a rod with orb and mace. It is here in the temple, placed next to the two sleeping dragon temples, that are capped. Hence why the two dragons are shown here with upset faces.
That was one side of the Genesis stone. Now what about its counterpart, the reverse side? And we must still ask, where is Orion? All is here. The dog star, Sirius, is correctly represented. 3 ellipse-topped pylon markers, with flags make for 3 stars in a row. You'll recall how the Inca gold disc had ellipses for stars. You will see just now how the ellipse re-emerges in the alien message at Atlantis. On the reverse side, again the story splits into 2. Seen here is how old traditions teach of the belt stars as 3 magi or kings. Their cross and sun star adorned robes speak volumes. One magi holds back the 2 angry dragons. The one with the active dragon holds a ring. Herschel says, it's likely the ring is for the bull's eye in Taurus, for target alignment. Most exciting of all, the stone showcases the celestial flying object as never shown like this. Wayne Herschel's analysis is likely to cause a storm. Imagine this object resembles what was seen in Phoenix, Arizona in 1997, and more recently, seen leaving our solar system. He says it may well return again officially, in 5 years at the ancient site of Atlantis.
Let's recap 3 suns in that position, one very important, found near the Pleiades, and they have exoplanets. One is shown like this in ancient artifacts. So I'm going to show 3 of them, all repeating from different parts of the world, saying the same star map and teaching of this amazing bit of information. Exoplanets, 3 suns. That one has a crescent. This one is larger, with it shown as the Ra symbol, the circumpunct, a dot in the middle. That is my origin theory of how this became the circumpunct. And then another one with a smaller sun, and they showed them quite interestingly. This one obviously with Orion. They showed this one with the Orion cross as being, that's how you find the most important one. This one has a crescent, and this one has a blazing sun. Those symbols are shown 3 times, 3 different civilizations. Our sun is here and the earth here, and obviously would have been stargates connecting between these, and those plasma ribbons connect to the planet, to the stargate, and same in all 3. And they seem to show 2 were capped, inactive, with a capstone. You'll see in the Maya calendar stone how the stone actually acted perhaps once as a capstone for a ring device. And you can show it also like this by blocking out the sun, like it looks like a big Pac-Man, and that plasma ribbon cannot activate. It's shut down. So 2 that are shut down in this way, 1 that is active with the cosmic serpent, 2 with what looks like obviously 1 star system, 1 large main star system. The other 2 fell away over time. We're looking at civilization 1, ground 0, where the origins of bull worship started, with a crescent and a sun, and they all seem to have Stargate devices, cosmic serpents, 7 stars, and a man personified as Orion, showing the way to those 7 stars. They all built pyramids. They all seem to venerate a winged disc. So there it is, ground 0, civilization 1, Atlantis, and it seems to have spread throughout the area that's highlighted to Sumer, Indus civilization, Egypt, Inca, and the Maya. All seem to have those same features. They all connected ancient civilizations from ground 0, the origin of Atlantis. There's the Sumerian Kudurru, the Genesis stone that we say comes from here. Now, I'd like to credit Muhammad Ibrahim here. His latest finding of the utterance that defines Orion's belt. These are the spoken words. Sa, Ha are these two collections of pictoglyphs, hieroglyphs, that come from ancient pictures. Now, all I'm adding to this is what these pictoglyphs origins have with this Orion's belt utterance. I'm also taking into account, obviously, Robert Bauval's Orion belt Giza theory. I take the star map in a whole new direction, showing all the other pyramids, there's 50 of them, make a complete star map with the exit marks the spot Sun Temple as the place of the gods in the 2-hour documentary. But let's have a look at this makeup. Obviously, now I'm comparing it to the Sumerian Kudurru because there's something very similar here. Don't know if you noticed it immediately. Orion's belt utterance has these symbols. Is it possible now? This will prove the weakest part of that stone to date that scholars say isn't conclusive enough to be Orion's belt. Well, let's put it to the test now with Egyptian records. Obviously, we're looking at the 3 belt stars of Orion as that title. So it's 3 stars having that title. In the beginning of the story, we have a folded, they call it a folded cloth, and the papyrus and the writing on papyrus. But there's a little bit more going on here because the folded cloth is a very gentle fold. Okay, it makes the spoken word s, but why is it shown like this? And there's another part to play with the papyrus, the writing. Papyrus drying rack would have looked like that so that it does not crease and the papyrus can dry as it is wrapped between cloth. This now takes it on a whole new direction because we have folded cloth with papyrus and writing on papyrus. It's a way of saying it is written, if those two are on their own, pictographically speaking. Then of course we have the bird symbol, which I've discovered in many other ancient civilizations shows to found civilization. Then we have this one, which is supposed to be just a twined bit of leather or something. I think it's a lot more. I'm sure it's coming to your mind immediately. What does that look like? Human DNA. And this is the evidence to verify that it is human DNA. Origins of the gods, born of the Tauret hippo goddess. This is where the gods apparently come from this birthing goddess. And the human code tied to the leg of the bull, which we know is the 7 stars of the Pleiades, with a sunlight star behind the bull's head, representing the Pleiades. And of course we have Orion represented by Horus Sakar, showing the way to the bull in Taurus, the bull's leg, Pleiades. That is the human DNA part of it. So that's that one. Now we have the 3 flags on 3 poles. 3 flags and 3 poles. In ancient Egyptian history, they marked out the pyramids using, like any surveyor would, with a pole with flags on it. Their pylon temples were decorated with flags on poles as well, usually 3. But an Egyptian stela from Queen Mernith actually takes the Sumerian artifact a lot further. Remember, these are 2 different lands here. One has the, what I think are pair of dividers, or the alpha symbol that is for Taurus. Where that comes from is a bit of a long story, but I need to recap on it. That the Apis bull is the Aleph, which is the alpha. How did we get to that? And remember, there's the bullseye story. So you have Sirius, Orion, the 3 kings personifying those 3 stars, going in that direction. It goes to the other side of the stone object. So we turn the stone stela around, and on the back of it we have the Omega. And there I flipped it around, you can see it there. And there's where the Pleiades and the 3 sun stars are. So what we have from scholars is that the Apis bull is the origin for the alpha symbol, the Aleph, that became the alpha symbol. And what I'm saying is that it's Taurus, the bull. You see how it's tilted like that? That's why that is shown tilted. It's the bull and its ears there and its horns. This is how the utterance comes into play in the book of Revelation when the cosmic messenger says, I am the Alpha and the Omega. He's saying he's from the Taurus Stargate. That man holding 7 stars is literally saying he is from the Taurus Stargate. So he's showing where his 7 stars originate from. And look carefully behind his head. The halo, as in ancient records, that show the man that's personified as Orion man has this sun star halo crown. That's that star map. It's in position behind the Pleiades like that. And that, I believe, is going to take place, guess when? 2nd of August 2027, according to the message that's 4 kilometers wide at the ancient site of Atlantis. So let's take it into a little bit more detail now. It has these little crosses added into it, don't know what they are, nails or something, but it does emphasize the Orion connection here. That's basically the Orion part of Sirius, Aldebaran, and of course the Orion constellation. So we have a little bit more at play here. This base that these three pillars are placed upon, I think it is a belt, an actual belt, because remember, this is the utterance of Orion's belt. And how I take it further is those three orbs there seem to be showing exactly the same as the Orion man on the Inca artifact. He's wearing an Orion belt to show he is Orion man, who is the cosmic teacher, who is, in my opinion, the man that was known as Yeshua ben Yusuf, that we call the Christ. He was also teaching of his star, the Bethlehem star, same star. So basically we have now the star in contention now, so it's reading from left to right in this case. The star, and then of course the Neturu, the gods, star of the gods. That's pretty simple, but now the breaking finding is the whole thing as an utterance. That's Orion's belt, but pictographically speaking, it's saying, it is written, the founding civilization of human lineage follow three sacred markers of Orion's belt to find the star of the gods. That is a star map in its own way. It's just a theory. Is it a coincidence? But pictographically, if that's how they made these little pictographs that became spoken word, they are showing the story pictographically, what's important about Orion's belt. And of course, follow the three belt stars of Orion. There's the star of the gods through the bullseye. That's no coincidence that you shoot an arrow to find a bullseye target. That's where it originated from. And of course, I take the star map into a whole new direction, showing the original Orion's constellation, and the exit marks the spot with 50 pyramids in Lower Egypt. That's all in the 2-hour documentary. So we have an Egypt connection with Sumer, matching three markers with flags, and then the orbs. Big deal. They put the orbs on top of the pole here, and there it's shown beneath the poles with a belt, Orion's belt. As I said, Atlantis used the alien message with ellipses. The Inca Golden Star Map uses ellipses for the three suns. That is just an ancient way, perhaps, of showing important stars. So let's look at the star map just quickly. So we have the dog star Sirius in the star map, okay? So that is the one star. Then you have the three Orion's belt stars personified by three kings. Remember, it's a double story, telling it twice, just as it does on the other side of the stone. It tells the story in two different ways. To Aldebaran. So that's the main star map. It's showing the way to what? Follow the other side of the stone. I've flipped it over now. Here is where the rest of the story lies. Three suns shown in special marking ways with the Pleiades. And we're seeing that whole star map now in that stone. That is part of it. We have the utterance now in Egypt saying, okay, these are the markers that seem to be marking out three pyramids, three belt stars, as being the most important part. That's the way shower to find the star of the gods. Basically that. Now both Sumer and Egypt have that connection. That's just two ancient civilizations with that utterance. Exactly as we see here. So let's look at it again. So it's Orion's belt throwing the way through the bullseye to that sun-like star. Keep that in mind as we take this further, and why the bull of ancient Egypt had the sun and the crescent of the gods, the exoplanet associated with the leg of the bull that he's pointing to on the back of his, behind his head. Okay, so we have basically the artifact. We have the columns of writing, which I'm going to quickly just have a peek at here. Go through it very carefully. Press pause and read it carefully. It's speaking about a god interaction with the king of ancient Sumer, the king of Babylon, and they're speaking of gateways, stargates, two capped star beings, and how this king had interaction with the gods, and they made him change his ways. He was a revered new law king that issued new laws of humanity, being humanitarian. This is what's happening now in our world. This is a repeated story that's going to take place probably in 2027, where the leaders of our countries who are wanting to be warlike and manipulate humanity are going to be shown the right way, or we all return home. Think about that word. How do we all return home to the tree of life? It's the most terrible thing you can imagine. We are destroying the planet like a disease that has to change now. Our planet is about to be destroyed with global warming, and we are cutting down forests faster than we can replant. So here's a breaking new finding, February 2023. These three I need to show all are telling the same story. These are all Genesis records in their own right, but obviously the Sumerian one has the greatest record. The Inca one says exactly the same thing with cosmic serpents, Pleiades, 3 suns. Here we have 3 suns in the Maya Codex Borgia and the Codex Borbonicus. Show Orion, you can see the belts there, Pleiades, 3 suns, the bird founding civilization, a man in a Stargate. Hang on a minute, a picture of a man coming out of a Stargate with cosmic serpent. Look at it closely. This is not my wild imagination. Look closely at the man coming out of the Stargate. Let's take him out of the picture. That's what he's stepping out of. That's what he looks like, holding the ring device, just like the Sumerian artifact. 3 sun crown with little exoplanets on them. Isn't it amazing that this device, they even show it here with blue, like iridescence, like looking at water, just like the movie. They made a very good story to hide fact in fiction. That is the Maya artifact. There's other Maya details showing cosmic serpents coming out of the Stargate, showing what I believe is that. You can come back and look at the close detail just now. Other devices shown on other Maya codices. This particular one showing cosmic serpents connecting to the different gods, and it's mounted on a base. This depiction shows the actual cosmic serpent connection, point of origin from the Stargate to one where it's a point of arrival on Earth. The 2-hour documentary will cover all of these in great detail. The Christ story with a gate, 3 stars of Orion's belt and an exoplanet, and a cosmic serpent dragon. That's all there. Ancient esoteric murals. This is one with a mural of Christ with 3 sun-like stars as his title, that there were 3 sun-like stars. And the sacred feminine with sapientia, with a T being of Taurus, Tau, Homo sapiens. Just by theory, it's all covered in the 2-hour documentary. So is this. I'm not going to go much into this. It's in the documentary. But this Alpha Omega book is where we take the Stargates into a whole new direction, which has been updated in a new publication that's been updated. So let's go back to the name for Orion's belt. Saha. That's the spoken word. This is how the languages originated in ancient Egypt. But if we had to designate what star type that is, in other words, a sun-like star, you would be able to add a Ra symbol. But then it would read Sahara. Where have we heard that before? The Sahara. Sahara. Is that a coincidence? That the name of the area with the 3 great pyramids, the largest monument in the whole of North Africa, the greatest probably historical reference landmark for the whole of North Africa, that was once green, that became a desert after the Great Flood, was name given to that as a desert. The Arabic name desert is Sahara. I don't think that's a coincidence. Here's another breaking new finding. In Egypt there are 5 different temples that show this utterance, that reveals the source and activity of the stargates of the gods, that show capped repeating utterances of 2 of them, and one that is active that went in the direction of Scorpio. Think about that. Wow. The Hatshepsut shows a little bit more artistic detail for the capping aspect, which I'll show you how we reason that. The Ramses temple shows a little bit more with the Scorpion, that life was brought to our solar system that resides in Scorpio. Now if you're on a star program looking at where our sun resides, it's right here in Scorpio. We'll show you a graphic for that in a minute. So what we're showing is 2 capped stargates, and then it repeats the utterance of inactive. There's nothing happening with these gates. They're off, they shut down. But there is one active. See that one? The plasma ribbon bursts out. That is the one that shows Scorpio. It's connecting that the gods set out in the direction of Scorpio to find our sun. And that's what it looks like. If you go into a star program, click view from Pleiades, guess where our sun is? Right here. And then of course we've covered that. Now this part in the bottom shows how they ride these cosmic ribbons. The source of all these cosmic ribbon conduits comes from the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is this great light area that I believe I experienced in a near-death experience. I came to this place and wanted to bring it back as a sense of responsibility. This is what is shown in ancient records as well, people being taught about the cosmic tree, and that this cosmic tree is living, okay, it's the creation of all time, space, matter, and all life. But look at the top part of it, it's showing how the gods traverse the heavens. From this tomb mural of a picture of Horus Sakar riding the cosmic serpents, multi-headed, because obviously there's three suns on one side and our sun on the other. But the amazing part of it is that plasma ribbon depiction inside an enclosed object. We've seen it also at Dendara. There's your pillar of life, the tree of life that is living creation energy. It's holding its own self. It's showing that it's made artificially and shown in a big plasma bulb type thing, which is like a plasma ball that scientists have made today, where you can put a large charge in a gas like argon and you'll see these little ribbons. Now this is obviously a very unique plasma ribbon, one that is living energy that comes from the source, the creation. If ever there's a way of defining God creation on earth, it's this living light energy that's like a living cosmic serpent dragon that is conscious energy. So that's basically it. The 2 stargates were capped, 1 active. Now hang on a minute. Let's recap on that. So there's the patterns that I've shown. We're going to look closely now at when it's capped. The capping effect takes that effect right there. We're going to show now, compared to Egypt, how obvious they've shown it. First of all, on the Sumerian artifact, it's the 2 capped temples right down there, 1 active with the upside down omega. We have the esoteric manuscript that shows the same thing, crescent, sun, and 1 with a cross. Sun like a what do you call it, a blazing star, and 2 are capped with the knots and 1 that is active. You'll see that in the 2-hour documentary. And of course the Egyptian one. I look closely at these 2 right here. That's exactly what they're drawing. They're blocking out the sun star and making it just like I've shown here. 3 cases showing 2 capped, 1 active, to 3 suns, 2 that were shut down. 1, the most important one that most of our history reveres, was the last journey of the gods through stargates. And that is the story of the Genesis stone.
My Atlantis discovery claim for the first time shows the circular canals fingerprint of Atlantis, the port city, and Atlantis, the lost island continent, proven with geology. We've just seen the Sumerian Genesis stone unveiled, but there is one more that I would say is more important, and in the future scholars might look at this one as the most important of all of them. It's something that's found a few hundred kilometers north of the Atlantis circular canals that I've identified. Behold the Atlantis stone. This is for the whole of humanity. But here's the X that marks the spot, right down here, using either the Pleiades, following the leg of the bull, or the Swastika nebula coming off. And it shows like this little hockey stick piece, and I think that's a crescented world.
A rare ancient map seen here shows a very strange depiction that led Wayne Herschel to discover the real Pillars of Hercules, and with it, the lost lighthouse of West Africa. There never ever was a Spain counterpart for any landmark pillars. The detail shown was actually an insert of a view of a cave opening on the cliffs of the westernmost point of Morocco in Africa. It was once a stone quarry. The flat round stones, literally scooped out from the walls, inside the cave, to make megalithic pillars. 2 such pillars no doubt once stood at the entrance of the cave. The cave even has a legend about Hercules attached to it. As a lighthouse, it relayed a very important message to seafarers. It was carved in the shape of Africa. At night, a golden Africa billboard. In the day, a clear dark imprint clearly seen against the light stone cliff. When the cave was operational as a beacon, the coast of Spain did not exist at all here. It was just open sea. Wayne will prove this in his take on Atlantis to follow.
It was a few years before the new millennium that Wayne's relentless quest for finding the lost continent of Atlantis began. As per all his star maps, the ancient site would have to have the telltale Pleiades, or Orion monument template. He found an updated ocean bed LiDAR map online. Following the Pillars of Hercules quote from Plato, he said Atlantis was somewhere along the line shown. But nothing Wayne could find here came even close to a large undersea landmass. It was here where he noticed what he first thought was an impact crater, but the unique smooth bottom pattern kept going north. It had a line that ran parallel to the west coast of Spain and Portugal. He suddenly realized the whole landmass seems to have moved, just like the larger continents do, in continental drift. Then came his big breakthrough moment. The Pleiades anomalies he was looking for were here. Like on Mars. But now, if Spain and Portugal were once in this position, then something would have moved. The X marks the spot. It would still be somewhere on land. Wayne pieced back some of the debris to animate what he believes happened.
He had found Atlantis. The plane, Plato described in size, was here. The fingerprint of the circular canals was here. Here is the very simple news release clip he sent to some big media to coincide with his Atlantis book release.
In Wayne's grand summary and conclusion of what all the star maps and the alien message and Atlantis mean to humanity, we now need to define it more precisely. The swastika is not just prevalent, with a human origin theme in the Celtic Empire, because it is found globally, in virtually all great megalithic empires, before it was hijacked and demonized by an extremist during World War II. Discovering what it truly means, the strongest cases go back to the Atlantis survivors of the Great Flood, throughout Europe over 10,000 years ago.
It was a sacred symbol, and now is the time for it to be revived. Here is our first amazing example. Found in the UK, at Ilkley Moor, it shows an exact match with the Orion Nebula. Also including a set of extra stars that we need to examine up close, as we can test the correlations. It all seems to be confirmation of Wayne Herschel's star map theory with the X that marks the spot. A second example now found across the sea, in northern Italy, at Val Camonica. It is absolutely identical. At this site, a new clue takes Wayne's theory to new heights. There is a cross version of Orion, in identical style to the swastika, and it has more to add, in explaining what is found for the X marks the spot. If you follow Orion's belt to the X marks the spot area, a flying astronaut, with knees bent, explains what originates from the sun star in the star maps. As you compare one with the other, it identifies two separate Orion elements as shown. A cross within a cross, so to speak. Included is an extended Orion swirling nebula by virtue of two extra stars. These two ancient sites in the UK and Italy show the Orion swirling nebula, in correct matching anti-clockwise correlation, and their message to find the ancestor star.
But there are also clockwise swirl records of the ancient swastika. One is found near the Atlantis site. Some will argue, it's because the ancient survivors of the Great Flood who knew of the star map could not see the nebula and could easily have forgotten the original swirl direction. But Wayne realized the name for the swastika, passed down from the Celtic Communion tribes, most likely referred to the pink nebula as a rose for good reason. A spiraling rose has golden mean mathematics. Coincidentally, it also marks out the alignment with the X marks the spot. An extended petal of the nebula appears to be another way to emphasize the target sun star. But one special Communion rose record comes from a site that is slightly north of the lost Atlantis port city. And the ancients depicted it like this, as well as adding a squiggle and the Pleiades shape to locate the X marks the spot. What you're seeing is the very blueprint code of the Atlantis Pleiades Islands, and ringed canals to mark ground zero.
Found at the site of Guy Foyers in Portugal, it additionally includes the Pleiades to emphasize the star map's importance. But for Wayne, this story all came together when a paranormal event indented this identically themed star map in the very center of the inner circular canal area, at the ancient Atlantis site. It happened on the eve of 2012. One that included an encoded date of their return. August the 2nd, 2027. And just when we thought that since 2012 the ancients might not be watching developments on Earth, in 2020, experts were called out to investigate a field near Stonehenge after people saw strange lights. Another swastika crop circle in the same Atlantis swirl style had appeared. It again included the X marks the spot.
Is it really an alien message? Let's now look at all the evidence. Wayne calls this 4-kilometer wide land depiction the Geoglyph. It covers an area larger than Giza. This cosmic artwork is dead center of the port city of Atlantis. They are truly crop circles, but so intensely created by downforce that they indented the ground permanently, without harming the crop. The star visitors most likely chose the absolute center of the Atlantis inner island city to leave its message, also because the field has a grid pattern effect. It was firstly conducive to astronomy, and secondly to playing host to the seaman's computer code. The geoglyph shows Wayne Herschel's star map. It's as if the star visitors knew he was working there, and would notice it and decode it. While the world waited and watched the Maya calendar 2012 event, nothing happened. Instead, the visitors left us a message, firstly telling us the date was wrong. Secondly, it gave the real date for first contact. Wayne's new book, Herschel's Atlantis, sets out to prove it. The first code Siemens used looked like this. All that needed decoding was the figure the two dots together make. He found the key decoding master sheet. The positioning correlated with two numbers, 20, 27.
Up close here is Orion, astronomically for the comparative with the computer program. No doubt about it, again Wayne's star map. Let's recap, and see if we can prove, or disprove the alien star map. What lies on the bull's back is no longer a mystery. Orion Man carries the long cross in the sky. So, was it a coincidence? The records claim the Christ was made to carry his cross? For teaching us about our star origins? Just as they forced him to wear a sun halo of thorns?
Now watch closely the 4 cross markers of Orion from its outer stars. In our tradition of the Templar cross, the 4 dot markers were made traditionally in a square icon depiction. The ancients compressed the vertical y-axis scale for us to make it square without compromising the x-axis alignment for distance measurement. We have now just solved the ellipse mystery, why they used ground indentations with this choice of pattern. Now let's reorientate it as they did in context with field grid pattern and astronomical star map grid layout. Add the Swastika nebula to the equation. Notice how the ellipse alignments match the outer swastika band that shows the alignment to X marks the spot. Here we have precise measurement defined, and it defines Sol 1 primary as the target.
A star map, a message, and a date for first contact. But hang on, how did the 2nd of August get thrown in? A precise date? The real Mayan prophecy insists a total eclipse will accompany the return of the gods. Lo and behold, in rare correlation for the Atlantis port city site at ground zero, a total eclipse begins right here on this very day. The visitors have shown us all. While we wait, watch and count down to the big day, please consider being a part of Wayne Herschel's Patreon quest. See the links below. He truly needs your help to keep the quest of upholding the sanctity of humanity's real history alive. Save the knowledge that will free humanity. You too can be the change.